surgery as a way to take control of their health and also manage their weight. But while the procedure can help reduce body mass, it's only the starting point. The real transformation comes afterwards, right? In how people eat, how they move, how they adapt to their changing bodies. Those who have gone surgery, discovering that nutrition and fitness are also critical to keeping healthy. We look at nutrition and fitness after surgery with Dr. Lebogang Masekela, who is a medical doctor, nutritionist, and life coach. Doctor, welcome on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. I mean, we always have to take precaution, especially when we get surgery, right? And especially surgery that has to do with weight loss. After that particular surgery, what do you think should be the instant priority?
Right. So with bariatric surgery, the thing about it, and I think this is where a lot of people go wrong whenever they do any type of weight loss surgery, is that they don't commit to a different lifestyle, right? So it cannot be, oh, I'll exercise when I feel like it, or I'll eat healthy when I feel like it anymore, which is what would have gotten us into the situation that needed us to have the surgery in the first place, right? So we with all those unhealthy habits and eating and exercise, the habits that we had before the surgery, you have to commit to a completely different lifestyle after that. And most importantly, it will be nutrition, because remember, you would have had, with bariatric surgery, you would have had there's changes in your stomach itself, depending on the type of bariatric surgery that you would have had. But the core of it is that the size of your stomach is now completely different. It can be reduced to even as much as 90% of the stomach can be gone, right? As I said, depending on what kind of surgery you're having. So you cannot, the first thing first is you cannot eat like you used to. Right. So I think that's where a lot of people then sort of get derailed. But you have to understand the concept that you cannot eat, you literally cannot eat. You're going to be eating about 10% of what you used to, because your stomach is that much smaller. Right. So those are the most important thing, is to understand that you're going to eat much less. Right. And then you're going to be eating more times, because you're eating such small portions. Then you're prioritizing eating frequently. So you can't have a big meal. It has to be chopped up into little small pieces that your stomach can take in at a time or at a go. And then the other thing that is also important is people need to learn how to chew properly. It's so amazing that we actually don't chew our food. I don't know if it's busy lifestyles, or we've just become so impatient. We are the instant, as they say, we are the instant generation. Everything is quick. But when you had bariatric surgery, you need to chew your food. Like, you have to chew it down as minimal as possible. So you're making it easier for your stomach to be able to digest it, right? Because remember, your stomach is no longer the original size, or we've already even bypassed the stomach sometimes. So you have to chew it. I mean, your meals have to at least last about 30 minutes when you're eating. So it can't be one of those quick. I'm just going to have a quick bite. You have to at least prioritize about 30 minutes for each meal. Every time you eat, prioritize about 30 minutes so that you can slowly go through your food, right? So those are the three main things that when it comes to the actual eating. But as I've said, it's a lifestyle commitment. So there's going to be a lot of other things that you need to factor in that are new to your system, that you never used to do before, but you have to now start doing.
Yeah. You know, because we're talking about the eating aspect right now of, having the
Yes.
surgery and then coming in, there is maybe a misunderstanding about quality or quantity, because the quantity, as you said, is very, very small. But what we need from our
Yes.
food is the nutrition that it offers us. So how
Correct.
important is that? Like, you can maybe adapt and eat very small meals, but what kind of
Mhm.
nutritional value should you be prioritizing in those meals? Because I mean, what we
Yes.
want to understand is, does the body also, remove nutrients differently after that surgery, that needs to speak about what kind of nutrition you need in the food that you eat at that time?
Yes, I'm glad you asked this question because somebody might just take it that, okay, if I'm eating less, then maybe I can just have less fried chicken and chips,
Right, yeah.
But yeah, so it is very important now, even more with bariatric surgery. I mean, obviously, in any person, whether you're a bariatric surgery patient or not, it's very important. I always teach patients that food is about quality and quantity, right? Always. So whenever you look at a plate of food, it's always about the quality that is on that plate and the quantity that you're going to get into your mouth, right? So we've already said, okay, obviously with bariatric surgery, the quantity already goes down to almost like 10% of what you used to eat, right? So now, which then goes without saying that because you're eating less, you need to eat more nutrient dense food to be able to give nutrition to your body, because if you are going to be eating food that is what we term non-nutritive, so meaning that it doesn't give you a lot of vitamins, minerals, if you're not eating, if you're not focusing on good quality food, you're going to have um, malnutrition. You are going to have vitamin insufficiencies. You are going to have mineral problems, which is what we do see anyway with patients. So they need to eat highly dense nutrition foods, and they must focus on high protein diet, right? So they need to focus on a high protein diet and low carb or low GI diet, which basically means we don't want highly processed carbohydrates, high sugars, those kind of things. So you're going to focus on your proteins and you're focusing on your low GI carbs and you're focusing on your vegetables, right? And then the other thing, also speaking about nutrition, is they need to commit. And I love using the word commit because it's not going to be something you like. It's not going to be something that you want to do every single day, but you have to make that commitment. And they need to commit to lifelong vitamin supplements, simply because of the fact that I've just mentioned that their body cannot take in a lot of food. And then also, so if you're not taking in a lot of food, you might fall short of the amount of vitamins that your body needs, right? And also on top of that, remember that your stomach has been decreased in size and or there's been a bypass of the stomach. So the nutrition absorption from the food that you're taking is also not how it used to be anymore. So you need to supplement your nutrition with actual nutrition supplements
Okay.
every single day.
All right, Dr. Lebogang, let's take a break. We'll come back and continue to speak on this one. What do you do in terms of taking care of your health and eating well after weight loss surgery? That's the conversation this hour.
Je, una jambo lolote akilini mwako? Je, una shauku kuhusu masuala muhimu? Na je, una maoni ambayo unataka yasikike? Kweli, hili jukwaa ni la kwako. Piga simu au tuandikie kwenda WhatsApp namba alama ya kujumulisha 2760552594 na tutakupigia simu.
Mtangazaji wa habari zetu za Afrika Kusini mjini Johannesburg.
Hivyo unaweza kuwa mshirika kwenye matangazo yetu. Sio mazungumzo tu, ni fursa yako ya kuchangia kuchangia maoni yako na kushirikiana na jumuiya ya wasikilizaji wanaotamani mtazamo wako. Tufuate kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Tembelea tovuti yetu www.channelafrica.co.za na uwe tayari kushiriki na kuchangia maoni yako kwenye Channel Africa. Channel Africa, mtazamo wa Kiafrika.
Step into the heart of the day on the move with Palesa and Benjamin.
It's a really brave step and a beautiful step as well to go and get weight loss surgery, particularly if, your weight gain is life-threatening and you want to change your life. But what happens afterwards is what we are trying to understand. What should you be changing in terms of your nutrition and your fitness after surgery? Still helping us with this one is Dr. Lebogang Masekela, who is a medical doctor, nutritionist, and life coach. Well, we've spoken a little bit about the food aspect, and I'm sure there's more to unpack there as well. But let's speak a little bit about the fitness. How long after the surgery should you be prioritizing movement, and what types of movements?
Right. So when it comes to movement, you need to start moving as soon as possible. Is in day one, you need to start moving, because remember, you have just had surgery, and one of the major complications of surgery is what we call DVT, which is basically like thrombus clots, right? So we want to minimize the amount of, like, even with any operation, really, not necessarily just with bariatric surgery. With any surgery that you have, we want you to start moving as soon as possible, right? So, but it doesn't mean now you must now immediately go back to what you used to do or go to the gym or whatever. So even from day one, while you're still in the hospital, you can start walking, right? So walking is literally the only thing that you just need to start doing. Just start walking. Obviously, the first few days that you post-op, you can just sort of do a few minutes. It doesn't have to be a whole hour walk or whatever. You can just walk around the hospital, mobilizing, what we call mobilizing. It's just so that, the blood can start flowing well and all of that. And then soon after, once you leave the hospital or when you start getting back to your life, your normal life, you can aim for about 30 minutes a day. And then obviously moving forward further to maybe, let's say, when you are 6 weeks or 8 weeks post your surgery and you're going back to your normal life, you can start doing about an hour of walking or start doing the exercises that you hopefully used to do. But in the beginning stages, try to just walk, avoid any lifting of heavy things or anything that puts a lot of pressure on your core or your stomach.
Mm-hmm. And how long would that period be of just doing soft training or just doing like light walks?
So usually we say when you are still about 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks,
Okay.
which is so that's like the first, that's the most sensitive time after surgery, right? So for the first 6 weeks, some people even up to 8 weeks, just do very light movements, which walking is more than enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, you can start looking at the other options.
I don't know if this is a stupid question. I always have heard from my journalist lecturers that there's no stupid question.
Not at all.
In terms of heavy salts, right, and sugars after this type of surgery, what would you suggest happen?
All right. So we generally want you to avoid high sugars, high salts, because people that have had any intestinal bariatric surgery, they are prone to a condition called dumping syndrome, right? And dumping syndrome is basically where the food, especially sweet food or high concentration foods, moves through the stomach quickly, right? And when it does that, what happens is then they get a hypoglycemic state. It's very technical, but what you just need to understand is you should not eat a lot of food that is highly concentrated with salt, with sugar, and even water or liquids. So we generally say you should not eat your food with liquids because we don't want the food to move through the stomach too quickly, because then that can cause a lot of discomfort, a lot of pain. It's a very nasty, nausea, sometimes diarrhea. So you don't want those. Yeah. So to avoid all those things, your food must sort of be bland. To be honest, your food is going
Oh
to be
no, doctor,
fairly
no.
bland. It's going to be fairly bland, simply because before you've had the surgery, you were probably eating a lot of sweet foods, a lot of salty foods, fatty foods, and all these foods, unfortunately, you cannot go back to.
I'm saying this because I'm sure you'll experience a lot of food noise after a surgery because you want comfort food after a surgery. You want that light-hearted, heavy meal of stew and pap so you can feel a bit of comfort. How do you deal with that food noise? Because now you're reorientating your lifestyle to a new one.
Yeah. And this is the thing that also people need to understand, that there's different types of hunger. So hunger is not just physical. And a lot of the people that would warrant this kind of surgery have moved way past their hunger, the physical hunger. So they're mainly dealing with emotional hunger, which is basically what you've said, it's comfort eating, right? So you're not eating because your stomach, you're physically hungry. You're eating because, maybe you've had a bad day or feeling sad or something bad happened. So we eat according to our emotions, and this is how we become obese and overweight in the first place. So now, the problem that we get is we do get people now who've had the bariatric surgery. So the physical hunger is not there anymore because remember, your stomach is now smaller. So even your hunger hormones have dropped in the body. But the emotional hunger is still there because you still want that comfort. You still want to just enjoy your food. Just eat because it tastes nice, right? Sometimes we just eat because it tastes nice. It's not even about anything. Sometimes we eat because we're bored. We just want something to do, right? So that's why it's also very, very, very important for these type of patients to deal with that mental health aspect, right? So they need to, as much as they're going through these physical changes, they also need to go through a psychological change where they address the issue, because they need to find out in the first place, how did you get to, because bariatric surgery is for morbidly obese people, so it's not like, oh, I weigh an extra 10 kilograms, so I'm going to get bariatric surgery. We are talking people in the 100 kilograms plus. So they need to figure out how they overate so much, what was the cause for that emotional hunger, and address that emotional hunger. Find out what you are eating, because most of them really are eating their feelings. So they need to sort out those feelings.
Well, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Doctor. This is very helpful, especially because a lot of people now, and there's been a lot of myth busting when it comes to and destigmatizing of going under the knife for whatever reason. Some of it could be health reasons, some for other reasons, but just understanding that the work doesn't end there in the surgery table, but it also they need intentional work afterwards that can maintain the weight, but also make sure that you live a healthy life. We really appreciate you this morning. Where can we go to find you if we want more information?
Thank you so much for having me. And I think before I even...
Doctor, are you still there? Okay, it seems like we've lost the doctor there. That's Dr. Lebogang Masekela, medical doctor, nutritionist, and life coach. Let's hear what you have to say on +27 83 288 6684. Let's move on and get our latest in sports with Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Palesa, thank you. We'll start here. Ebereche Ize as well as Victor